This year I got to ride so many new coasters all around the country and I picked up a bunch of new credits. My credit count now sits at 65 with me gaining 28 new credits this year. I visited 12 parks and spent over 30 days at them. I can now confidently say I've ridden some of America's best coasters, so today I'm going to tell you my top 10 favorites. But before we start, I wanted to give a shout out to the channel for completing its first year on YouTube. This wouldn't have been possible without all your support, so thank you so much. Alright, back to the video. At number 10 is a new coaster I rode this year, which is Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. Everyone said how the ride was just okay, but after my first ride I couldn't believe what people said because this coaster's so fun. The drop was a sensation I had never felt before and I love the amazing foot choppers along the way. It also has some decent positive G-forces in the valleys, which is only best to ride on the left side of the train. I think this coaster is super underrated, so it deserves a spot on this list. Number 9 is Diamondback at Kings Island. This coaster is one of my favorites because of how much airtime it has. Every hill is sustained, giving you that stomach floating feeling that is amazing. It's also placed in an amazing setting that is even better at night when it's completely dark and behind in the woods. While I will say the rattle can take away from your experience, it's still a really good coaster that is deserving of this spot. Moving on, we have Hagrid's at Islands of Adventure. From my experiences, this coaster has continued to blow me away time and time again. And warning, spoilers ahead, so if you don't want anything spoiled, skip to this time. For a family thrill coaster, this is amazing from start to finish with the outstanding theming, special track elements like the drop track and spike, along with its decently powerful launches. This has it all. This was the perfect coaster for Universal even though it gets 2-hour lines every day. It's worth it for such an amazing ride. Next up is Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. This was another new coaster I rode this year and it really lived up to the hype. Starting with the amazing drop that gives you sustained airtime to the incredible 5-second floater hills and the really fun twister section, Mako is such a good ride. Some moments that stood out to me were the first drop, the first turn that was actually a really fun sensation, the first floater hill, and the mini wave turn after the mid-course, which caught me off guard because I was not expecting it to have force. Overall, this ride is very deserving of the number 7 spot and definitely a must ride. Here at the number 6 spot is Orion at Kings Island. This Giga Coaster is all around such a fantastic coaster with amazing forces and a unique layout. Every year I've come to love this more, even though it could be longer. Orion continues to impress me every time, especially when you ride in the back row. Orion is such a good coaster, but not as good as its sister up north, Millennium Force at Cedar Point. This was another coaster I rode for the first time this year, and it's super worthy of this spot. While I will admit the first time I rode it, I was a little underwhelmed. The more I rode it, the more I came to love this amazing coaster. Nothing is quite like those restraints and the feeling like you could fall right into Lake Erie on the lift hill. It's the best feeling of anticipation ever. This is a very good ride to kick off the top 5 coasters, so moving on to number 4 is Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom. This amazing RMC is full of powerful airtime and amazing intensity. From the amazing barrel roll drop to the powerful airtime that feels illegal, and the floaty inversions, this ride has it all. Storm Chaser feels like it should not be at that park because it's too good, but such an amazing ride that I love. But I don't love it as much as Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure is one of the most legendary coasters ever, making it the perfect number 3 spot. The first time I rode this coaster this year, I was absolutely blown away by what Universal managed to do with this. The launches, the theming, the intensity, and the legendary Mosasaurus roll literally make this coaster so amazing. It has theming and a perfectly thrilling layout, making it the perfect coaster you could ask for. Universal absolutely knocked it out of the park with this one, but it doesn't compare to Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. This RMC hybrid is literal perfection with anything you could ever want in a coaster, from airtime to inversions to intensity and even more airtime. Steel Vengeance sets the bar super high for some of the best coasters ever. The constant sustained airtime just manages to catch me off guard every time I ride and makes it feel like the most out of control thing on this earth. I really love Steel Vengeance, but there's one I love even more, and you're probably wondering what in the world it could be, and it's Maverick at Cedar Point, Steel Vengeance's next door neighbor. I know it's a bit controversial, but the second I got off this ride, I couldn't believe it existed. The first drop in the back row for my first time was an experience I will never forget. I remember feeling like my insides were leaving my body and then all of a sudden being shoved back down into my seat and snapping to the left and the right. It's such an out-of-body, discombobulating experience everyone has to do sometime. Well, that's the end of my top 10 coasters. I'm so glad I got to ride all these amazing coasters this year, and even the year before. Thanks for watching, and let me know down in the comments what your top 10 is, or even your opinion on mine. Liking the video and even subscribing to the video would mean a lot to me, as small channels sometimes get overshadowed by bigger ones, so make sure to do that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.